back. Don't go anywhere.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. Ekbo Temple is my name, and of course, joining me live this morning, as usual, is Emmanuel Michael. Today is the last day in the month of April. Good to have you here, bro.
Very good one. Good morning, and good morning to our viewers out there. Always a pleasure to talk sport with you.
Always a pleasure to do this with you, and let's start with table tennis. The World Table Tennis has fixed June 17th to 23rd for this year's World Table Tennis Contender in Lagos, one of the three World Table Tennis events in Africa this year. This is more like Africa hosting. How well are we prepared?
I think we are very well prepared, and that is why the World Table Tennis Federation had to deem it necessary to give Nigeria the go-ahead, to give us the nod to host this one, because I think they saw that in 2023, when we also hosted, we were able to meet up with the standard and provide the necessary conducive environment for other sporting men and women to come down to Africa and also display their skills and talent, and courtesy of that confidence because of the performance of Nigeria in 2023, where we also hosted. I think it also gave us an edge over other African countries that were also bidding to ensure that they host this very one. And I feel it's a massive one. It's going to add a whole lot of strength economically to Lagos State, because there is a venue where this one will be taking place. And of course, that Lagos State is a big hit of sporting and activity out there. So Lagos is a big brand and it's a big market for the sporting world alone, and that is why they deem it necessary to also stage it out there in Lagos, which for me I think is a nice one. It's going to go all the way to also help improve the image of the country in the near future, that if there's any serious tennis competition, and if Nigeria bid for it, they will definitely get the nod over other countries, because
management is impressed with what the city of Lagos put together last year. Sports where a particular sport will be hosted over the years is because of the beauty, the glamour that comes with hosting it in that city. And that is why a lot of people will crave that, okay, why do we just have 4 Grand Slams in tennis, at the professional level of lawn tennis? But you look at it because of they have 1 year to plan for the order. They are consistent. Just same thing in Formula One. The same Grand Prix hosted in some of those circuits. It's a continuation. So I think that if they even have it in such a way that they will be hosting some of these things, I think it's a good one, because it makes the organizers of that particular one not to check this thing. I mean, especially in Nigeria, when we have poor culture of maintenance, it makes them have to know that, okay, because we're going to be hosting again next year, in Egypt, in table tennis and other competitions, that those arenas or the environment where those sporting programs are staged becomes a regular base where it is well cared for, cleaned and maintained for the purpose of ensuring that they host some of these competitions, which for me, I think is a good idea.
Definitely a good relax and go back to their old and go back to the status quo. Nobody cares about the infrastructure any longer. That is why sometimes you discover some of the pitches or even the court where some of this game is being played. At some point, a politician use it for political rally. At some point, even churches use it for church crusade and all whatnot. Also, and at that point, you discover that some of the equipment, the facilities, will gradually, decay. Some of them will go obsolete because there's no proper care, no proper attention. Just like we talked about, maintenance culture is not there. So for me, I think when next they are called to host the next edition, you discover that some of those equipment have gone obsolete, and you will not meet up with the standard of the sporting activity. And for me, consistency is the key, because it will keep them on their toes, knowing fully well that if we host this thing for this year, next year, or even 2 years to come, probably, there is the probability that we are going to host it again, and that will help the organizers to also ensure, they will be hosting, the rest of the world. And that is the beauty of, consistency. That is the beauty of a deliberate plan and action towards deliberately maintaining our facilities here, and that helps us a lot, because, when people come from different walks of life across the globe, to aggregate or assemble in a certain city, what that means, and again, it helps them to also beef up their security top-notch, and it gives us that edge over other countries that are not always prepared for such events.
Give us an edge to countries that are not well prepared for such events. Now let's move now to the Madrid Open, the clay tournament ongoing. And of course, we can tell you that top seed Iga Swiatek is through to the quarterfinals of the Madrid Open thanks to a dominant straight-set victory against Spain's Sara Sorribes Tumo. And for her, it's expected, even if at some point she has not been able to, but in recent time we can see that she's really want to get this particular one. Getting past the opponents in 6-1, 6-love triumph, it makes it to look like maybe she will now, prepare. And she will be playing against 11 seed Beatriz Haddad Maia of Brazil in the last 8. Can she get past the Brazilian and move on, who of course hosted out Maria Sakkari of Greece?
I think it's very possible. Looking at her game so far since the start of this tournament, she has been able to also hold her own very strong, especially when the chips are down, when some pundit write her off. She was able to keep composure and keep cool, and also go to win her games out there. So looking at her composure and the confidence that is beaming from the inside her, immediately after that game, she said that examination is all about. It's about you being intentional of what you want to achieve in a certain tournament. You set a benchmark for yourself. This is where I want to get to. This is my target, and you work towards that, and it works perfectly for you. So for me, I think she still have a chance of progressing through, despite the fact that she's going to be meeting a tough everything to ensure that you go through to achieving your dream. I mean, the sky is going to be her starting point.
Sky is going to be our starting point, and Tunisians Ons Jabeur also progressed as she defeated 9 seed Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia in Swiss. Jabeur, who is seeded 8th in Madrid, made the perfect start as she broke in the first game on the way to her 6-love, 6-4 win. 2023 Wimbledon finalists will play American Madison Keys in the last 8 after she beat world number 3 Cory Kokogov in a 3 fiercely contested set. For Kokogov, I'm wondering why she is not, going farther than expected, and losing to Madison Keys, a fellow American. For me, it tells me dropped form, of late, and not a very good one for her.
Yeah, just of late she has dropped form, just of late, and for me, I think she needs to also go back and start working on her game, because I think Kokogov is a very fantastic player any day, anytime. You saw her exploit in the past, even in the start of this 2024. She has been very, very good on the court as well. But this is, a competitive game. It is what it is. Like they would say that if you are not prepared, if your opponent has more zeal and more determination, is going to give you a run for your money. And that is what actually happened to Kokogov. Not that she's not good enough. It's just that, I think that, she has lost that magical touch which has kept her going over the years. But any day, anytime, Kokogov is definitely that player that you can always put your money in. But then I think it's just a slight setback for her, and which I think she's going to go back and work on that and bounce back very strong.
She needs to, and then our own Ons Jabeur getting to win, and it looks like she's gradually building her mojo. She won this particular tournament for a few seasons, 2022 rather. I think that one would have expected that to maybe get to the level. But the moment you see Iga Swiatek looks like her biggest rival when it comes to achieving some of these feats. But with the way she's going, it looks like she might even go further than this. Do you think that she can hold her own strongly against her opponents?
For Ons Jabeur, I think over the years she has been getting that near success syndrome at a point where you think that yes, she's going to hit the bull's eye. she just couldn't get there. But for me, I think with the victory that we've seen her in this competition, I think that is going to also boost her confidence, money on Jabua, because she blows hot and cold sometimes. And that inconsistency for me is one thing that has made her game not to be, up there with the likes of, Iga Swiatek, Arina Zabalenka, and some of, the best hand in the WTA out there. But then, in the world of sport, you can never, write off anybody. So long as she's still very much active on the court, I expect her to also continue to do Africa proud. But for me, I think there are other big names that is still very much around in this competition. If she truly want to make something out of this one, then she need to be very, very consistent, because that is what has been lacking in her game. That consistency for Onjoboa has not been there, and for me, it is high time she started being very consistent if she, hopes to get far in this very one.
If she wants to get far in this, she needs to be very consistent in the way she goes about. Russian 17-year-old Miriam Andreeva is also through after a 7-6, 6-4 win over 12 seed Jasmine Paoli of Italy. Andreeva could play second seed Irina Sabalenka in the last 8. And the Belarusian faces 13 seed and Collins of the United States in the last 16 yesterday evening. And for her, Arina Sabalenka too have been very quiet. She has been very selective of the kind of tournament she will be part. Yeah. I don't know her strength when it comes to the clay season, but playing against a 17-year-old, how can she? I'm sure that she will be very delighted. But then it is easier to see than what happens in the court. Because the 17-year-old Andreeva can be a very tricky player.
Yeah, I think for me, looking at the age of Andreeva, her exploits, you will say yes, she's not one that you can just write off like that. It's going to be a banana peel for our opponent out there, because this is a young lad that is pursuing a dream, a young lad that have always stated it that she wants to be the best in the world, and she's working on that. So for me, it's no surprise that she has also gotten this far. But then, I think at this point in time, we may want to say that experience will play a major role. Yes, quite agree. But with determination, I think I see her doing exploit. But she needs to be very, very careful. Coming up against a very strong opponent with a great experience, I tell you, that is going to be an advantage for the opponent. But let's just keep our fingers crossed, hoping that she's going to continue to do the good job that we've seen her of late. But then it's going to be a very, very difficult task for her, meeting up against an experienced player. It's a big mountain for her to climb. Big mountain for her to climb,
and looks like that big mountain, when everything needs to be properly aligned. Let's move now to the ATP, where Rafael Nadal is into the last 16 of the Madrid Open after a hard-fought victory over Argentina's Pedro Cachin. The Spaniard, who is 37-year-old, came through at 6-1, 6-7, 6-3 after 3 hours and 6 minutes on court. Five-time champion Nadal is playing on the Madrid clay for the final time, and what they expect to be his last season of his career. This, I know, of course, is the motive behind it, the motivation and all that. But then he's being stretched by Cachin, in 3 sets. Tells that he's still recuperating. But do you think that those energies that he has exerted will build him more, or will even reduce his efforts as he goes forward goes deep into the later stages of the Madrid Open?
For me, the energy dissipated by Rafael Nadal over the course of this tournament, I think it's not different compared to what others have also exerted. It's the same energy as well. So for me, I think the energy is even going to weigh him down, looking at his age and injury prone. I think it's going to even be a more double trouble for Nadal, because I expect him at this point where that energy is no longer there. I expect him to dispatch his opponent within the shortest space of time, so that you have time to go and rest. But you saw how it took him, some hours, stretching him to some hours before he can be able to get a winner. It's not a convincing result for him out there. So it clearly tells you there is a drop in quality from Rafael Nadal. This is not the Rafael Nadal we all know. To telling ourselves the truth. Even the, #1 fans of Rafael Nadal will tell you this, that this is not the Rafael Nadal I know in time past, that I can always wake up any day and put my money on him and say, yes, I will go for you, that Rafael Nadal is going to, get this one done and dusted. But then I think it's a good one for him. Try to build up if he can also continue and finish on a very high note because of the love and passion he has for the game, and that is why he has not also thrown in the towel even before now. I think when he got that long-time injury and he came back, tried to rediscover his form, nowhere, he went back to injury again. He has been going back and forth with injury and all of that. So for me, I think it's going to be a morale booster for him. But can he go far and also finish very high in this tournament? I doubt, because of the experience that he has. Fine, good. That is going to play a major role, on his own behalf. But there are other, good players out there that is still very much around, that is ready to give him a run for his money. And I don't think that the level of energy that Rafael Nadal has this time can be able to match up with the likes of the 22 years and 25. He's at 37 right now, so age is no longer on his side. So I just think that it has been a good victory for him. Let him just enjoy the moments while it lasts, but then I expect him to be hosted out in a few days' time.
Hosted out in a few days' time, and of course, we could talk about being hosted out. Jared Lejeka of the Czech Republic, I will play him today. After his game, we'll now know if the both sides will definitely get to play. But talking about those that have been hosted out, Cameron Norrie is out after losing to 50th Casper Ruud in straight set. Cameron Norrie is another player who you think that he has come back, but then before you know it, he's hosted out. But against Casper Ruud, nobody would have been surprised, knowing fully well if you put the both sides. Yes, sports cannot be predicted, but a lot of people will tell you that Casper Ruud is a better tactical player than Cameron Norrie.
Definitely. I think Cameron Norrie has been playing the ostrich game, what you call the woolly in this part of the climb, where you just appear and disappear at any given point in time. Sometimes that one great guy that is ready, to take up the center stage and make a name for himself, make history. But, when the expectation is high, he will just disappear like the woolly I just mentioned here. So that has been the case with Cameron Norrie. But for me, I think he's been a great player, but then he still needs to improve a lot on his game if he truly wants to, be among the elites, because no doubt he has the potential, but then has he been able to work on the potential? There is a book titled Talent is Not Enough. There are other things that need to come to play before you can properly, harness your talent and make it, one that is worthwhile, where the world will gather around you and mention your name, and you'll be able to, each your name in the sense of history. I think these are some of the things you need to do. Improve on your game, improve on the God-given talent that you have, because he has the ability, he has the talent. I think what is left for him is for consistency and improvement on his part. If not, I tell you, he will continue to, play the ostrich game that we've seen in his career.
He will continue to play the ostrich game that we've seen in his career. And, of course, he's the Norwegian now, which is Casper Ruud, won the Barcelona Open last week, triumphed 6-2, 6-4. And sometimes, magically it works. I won't say magically, but there's the tendency of if you win a tournament to a particular one, the energy can still be used, to win. That's why, to win another tournament. And so, but we have not seen that this season anyway, because at the Sunshine, both the Miami and the one played in California, we would have seen such, in the US, but that was not to be seen. Now, this is the Barca, in the clay session, Barca tournament last week, and then this particular one in Madrid. Well, let's get to see if he can hold his own and see if he can win this one. But then a lot of guys are also, Alcaraz is still in this particular one, and some of them want to take back. Alcaraz is the defending champion. He wants to get his hand on this particular one, but we play against, he will face Canadian's Felix Auger-Aliassime in the next round. The Italian top seed Jannik Sinner also remain on course for his 4th title of this year after he saw off Russia's Pavel Kotov 6-2, 7-5. 3rd seed Daniel Medvedev also progressed after coming from a set down to beat America's Sebastian Korda 5-6, 7-6, 6-3. And so far, these are the guys, and the big guys are still in the mix. And that's why the question of can Casper Ruud, do the double, will it be achieved?
Like we've seen some of the names that is still very much around in the tournament, the likes of Daniel Medvedev, Jannik Sinner, Casper Ruud, even not writing off Rafael Nadal. But for me, I think the pendulum would definitely favor Jannik Sinner, who is on the form of his life. This 2024 season alone, he has been able to amass 3 major titles for himself, gone in for the 4th one, and that makes it very difficult Cena is that Italian player that will always come very clutchy when you need him most. He delivers on the big stage. Not also writing off the likes of Danny Medvedev as well, who is still very much around. And he might just pull the stunt and pull the trigger and do the needful when you least expected Danny Medvedev. Not also forgetting Rafael Nadal, though I say that, you know, he has the experience, but age and fatigue might also set in, but I can't write him off. He's still very much in the mix. He is a big name. That fear factor that he has been able to create because of the exploit he did in time past will still hold sway for him. It will still speak volume for him when he comes up against some of these opponents. These opponents might be afraid because of his past achievement and because of his record, not knowing that he's not in the form of his life. And when you are, when you begin to get fidgeted against your opponent, I mean, it gives your opponent that advantage. So for me, I think the stage is set. Some of the big boys are still very much around, and this is what we would love to see in the ATP, where the cream de la cream in the system, you know, square up against each other. We see the best of the champions out there.
The best of the champions out there. And away from that, let's talk some UFC. And this is very unfortunate. The 18-year-old son of UFC star Francis Ngannou has dreadfully died. Ngannou, who is 37-year-old, confirmed the tragic event on social media yesterday. Many fans shared their well wishes for the boxer who recently fought with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Amid the shock news, Ngannou was a UFC heavyweight champion between 2020 and 2023 before he left to pursue a career in boxing. I mean, very unfortunate news, you know, coming around this boxer who a lot of people would have expected, you know, to be fighting big. But somehow, what has dampened his morale a little bit was even the loss against Joshua. Yeah. But that's not to take that he's a good boxer. I mean, one who has dominated UFC and has nothing left again at that level, for him to have made a move to be in boxing.
I think, first of all, I must say my heartfelt, condolence to Francis Ngannou for the loss of his, son out there. 18 months, I think that is very devastating. When he broke that news on his, social media handle, I think most of his fans out there went very, very good and very sympathetic about what he's passing through right now, because it takes emotional stability for you to be able to stay strong, and you have to be mentally fit for you to be able to, overcome this kind of a major setback out there, because this is a major setback, losing someone that you love so much. He was trying to describe how, love that he was with the little infant when he was still alive. I think for me, it's quite an emotional moment for him. We send our condolence to Francis Ngannou. But beyond that, I think he's going to take out some few months away to also clear his head of this, tragic incident, and see if he can be able to come back very, strong. Though he's a good, martial art there, I think he has, done everything in the world of the octagon. Now he's trying to explore a new, terrain, going into a different venture by taking professional, boxing to its, higher end, when to face up with the likes of Gypsy King, talking about, Tyson Fury and even Anthony Joshua. So the last fight against Anthony Joshua, that is very, very devastating for his, hope and aspiration. But then I understand that even after the loss to Anthony Joshua, Joshua went to him and told him that you still have much to offer. Don't be let down by this, a little setback. So for me, I think it's just a matter of time. He's going to come back very strong. But then, in all, we just, send our heartfelt condolence to him and the family.
Send our heartfelt condolence to that man, Francis Ngannou, and his family. But we're talking boxing now. Former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson, July 20th fight against a YouTuber, since YouTube Jake Paul in Dallas will be a sanctioned heavyweight professional bout. Fighters and promoters announced yesterday the fight will be over 82 minutes round, and with the result to count on the record of both Paul and Tyson, who lost his official bout in 2005. For Tyson, he has won 50 times, lost 6 with a 44 knockout, has not won a fight since beating Clifford Atn in 2003, and has been concerned about sanctioning anything more than an exhibition due to the age difference of the boxer. Paul is 27, Tyson is 58 on June 30th. And for me, but what do you even make of this particular one? The argument as to the sanctioning the fight, I mean, can be very funny. But how do you sanction the fight with that level of age difference? For me, it needs to be looked into again.
You see, when I saw the news broke, I was just smiling because I was also taken aback because, you know, sanctioning a professional fight, a bout between Iron Mike Tyson, who is 58, against an opponent who is 27 years old. I think for me, I don't know what the Boxing Federation is trying to do, but then whether they want to make money. But then if they want to make money, they can also still sanction it as an exhibition fight. People will still turn out in their numbers to watch the Iron Mike Tyson because of his pedigree, because of his prowess and what he's done into the world of you know, boxing over the years. So for me, I'm very, very shocked. Let's hope that somebody is not going to be, you know, beaten black and blue in this very one. And let's hope that somebody is not going to be, you know, moved straight from the arena down to the hospital in this very one. Though one will say, yes, experience count, but age, you can never cheat age. You know, that is one factor that we must also not take away. We understand Iron Mike Tyson, in his 8 days, he was a specialist in knockout. He barely, you know, stay with you on the ring for about 5 minutes. He's going to dismantle you, and that is the prowess. That is what he has been able to build for himself. At some point, one of his punches weighs 50 kg, and you know what that means. A bag of cement here is about 50 kg or thereabouts. So that was at his peak. But then, at this time, can he be able to reinvent that magical moment that we know of Michael Tyson? I doubt. But then, I think as a fighter, he still have one or two experiences out there, you know, to also add to his game. But the strength, I think that is where, you know, making it a professional fight where you should have been an exhibition fight, you know, try to gather money or raise funds for whatever reason. But making it a professional fight, 58 years, taken up against a 27 years, my brother, I still can't fathom out the reason behind the World Boxing Federation to
reported registered a consign of the number of mosquito imports recently, and this doesn't look nice at all. It's a viral infection that has spread from mosquito to people, and this is happening just 3 months to the start. High fever, headache, body ashes, nausea, and then a rash. But we hope that all this will be looked into, and then malady will be restored. We're going to a quick break now. When we come back, we are still tuned into Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. More news awaits in the football terrain, where a lot has transpired and many to come from Nigeria to Europe. We will bring you all the latest and juicy stories this morning in football. Don't go anywhere.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's Atn Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Alright, it's time to talk some football matters here. And let's start from the Nigerian National League, where the board of the Nigerian National League has announced Enugu to be the host of the Super 8. You know, and this is good because there will be a partnership between the NNL and the state governor or the state government.
I think it's a good one for Enugu State as well, and also the authority have also expressed their joy and happiness that this very one is taken down to the coast city, talking about Enugu State, who is also a home of sport as well. I think it's a good one for Enugu State because definitely it's going to add a little to the economy out there, and also at least distinguish themselves among the rest. And if they get this, they get this not just like they've gotten it. I believe in the next edition, the organizers will also want to take it down to Enugu State, because over the years, I think it has been Lagos State, Kaduna, and the rest of it also. I think it's a nice one to see that the Eastern region is hosting this very one. And like I said, I think the organizers have also expressed their pleasure and happiness, noting that this very one is going to Enugu State. Let's see what comes out of this very one. But I believe that they are properly ready to also host the Super 8.
Probably ready to host the Super 8, and I can tell you that let's get to see from next month, starting tomorrow. More of news from that particular one is going to come. For me, what I enjoy about the timing is that it's gradually now is synchronized with the season. Even if we end in June, the fact that there is this for the first time in a very long while, the season, the MPFL and the NNL are likely to be synchronized. Is for me is a very laudable feat.
I think that is the need for you to think ahead of event. That is the need for people that it makes the difference for me. So for me, I think it's a nice one. Seeing that from the programming, their timing also goes well, because it will help also balance the calendar between the NPFL, the NNL, and all of that. And that is what is obtainable in a European scene out there, where the league end almost the same time, and it also start the same time. I think for me it's a nice one. We are beginning to catch up with the rest of the world. Let's hope that they can continue to keep these ideas alive, because one thing that is very difficult for us here is to stay consistent and to stay glued with the positive cause that is going to impact the rest of our citizens here. Let's hope that they've been able to learn lessons, and let's hope that they are also going to bring their wealth of experience to bear, because if you ask me, this should be the format, this should be the way to go, because aligning your calendar properly will also help some other teams as well to also plan ahead of next season on how they are going to play their friendlies, pre-warm-up game before next season officially kicks off. So for me, I think it's a nice one.
It is a nice one. Now to the Nigeria Premier Football League. The Nigeria Premier Football League marked the 32 fixture between Bayelsa United and Rivers United yesterday was suspended after the heavy downpour, and the pitch at the Something Center was in a very poor form. As such, the home side before the suspension of that game were leading 1-0. The whole environment was waterlogged, and the match official could not continue with the game. Called off and rescheduled the game to start 8 a.m. this morning.
I think for me it's quite disappointing. Well, we were actually monitoring proceeding yesterday when that match was on, and we also saw when it was halted, it was suspended because of the heavy downpour out there, and the poor nature of the pitch as well was another factor that made it very impossible for the match to continue. And that is where we keep talking about the infrastructure that we have here. Some of our stadium here, where some of the big name teams play here, they are not up to standard, and it's one of the reasons why Rivers United was barred by CAF from not playing at their home ground here, and that is why we took our match to Nest of Champions to play out there, because of the fact that it was just only one stadium that was approved by CAF, and saying that that is the only stadium that meet up with the CAF standard. So invariably, it is very clear that most of the stadium, if not all here, is not in a standard shape to host an important or a standard game. I think for me, it is high time, we begin to look in the area of how to improve our stadia here, so that our league will be up and running very well, even when there is rain. The only thing that disturbs, match games in Europe is especially where there is excess snow, that they cannot contain it again, not because it is raining and all of that. So for me, I think it's a wake-up call for us to start putting the necessary infrastructures in place and start, maintaining or having a proper stadium. And also, I think the league body as well have, something to do as well. They need to also be at the neck of, club owners to ensure that their pitches or field is being put to a perfect condition whereby even if there is rain, we can also continue to play out there. So, like I said, it's a wake-up call, but not a good development, because we hear that this league alone, this season, we're going to suspend about for 1 month so that we allow Rivers United to play about 5 of their standing games. Now postponing it again this morning is a good one, but then I think it's not good enough. We still need to work on our stadium, we still need to work on our pitches, we still need to enhance our facilities to meet up with the standard of the world, so that we can be able to also have an edge over other countries. You can't tell me that if you go to South Africa right now, or Algeria, or even Tunisia in their league, and there is rain out, they are going to abandon the match because of the heavy downpour. It doesn't happen that way. Why does it not happen there? Because they have the best of facilities. So it's a wake-up call for us to start getting things right.
A wake-up call for us to start getting things right, and let's see. I'm sure that from 8 a.m. this morning, we'll get to know how far the match will be played, and possibly what next for the team, and the result of that particular encounter. We'll bring you all that later when we come back for the evening show. Let's move on now, and just to inform us that a new coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria has been appointed.
Gain respect from these players. Just the last 2 friendly games that he was in charge, we heard that he had issue with 2 players because of the issue of disrespect and all of that, and that is the man you are appointing. Does he have a verifiable, credential? Has he proven himself? Playing just for Enyimba, winning the Abridge League last season with Enyimba and also contending for it, it's not good enough for you to be, the first team coach of the Super Eagles. So I think they are just playing with the minds of Nigeria and playing with our World Cup qualification, because I tell you, I'm very, very skeptical at this point if Nigeria is actually going to qualify for the World Cup. And again,
no, but maybe early days to be very pessimistic.
Early days, but the indices are there. He played 2 friendly games in charge, as a caretaker coach. He won against Ghana 2-1. It's a good one. Why? Because he was able to break a jinx, in an 18 years jinx that would have not beaten Ghana. He did that. But against Mali, we fell 2-0 against Mali, and that is the coach that I want to make a substantive coach for the Super Eagles. I mean, for me, I'm not satisfied. Now, looking at the World Cup grouping where we find ourselves right now, we are seated third for crying out loud. We have less than 1 month and 8 days or thereabout for the next game against South Africa. It's going to be a major decider, and you are appointing Finidi George with little or no experience at this point in time. For me, I think I'm not comfortable. I had made my opinion known very clear. The NFF technical committee, they were divided weeks ago on whether to appoint a foreign coach or a local coach. They had to, collapse their interests, to one and say, yes, let us appoint a local coach. And the 2 names readily came to mind, Finidi George and Emmanuel Amunike. I think for me, I was a little bit, tilted towards the side of Emmanuel Amunike. Why? Because he has passed through the rank. He has also taken, some of the national team, the junior side, far, won this Under-17 World Cup. And some of the big names in the Super Eagles are here today, the likes of Victor Osimhen, the likes of Taiwo Awoniyi, the likes of Chukwueze. They all passed through the rank under the tutelage of Emmanuel Amunike. So with his wealth of experience and what he did for the Tanzanian national team as well, speak volume for him, and he has a very verifiable, credentials, for me. So I think such a man that have an in-depth knowledge of the game as a standard, because when you hear him speak, talk tactics, you will definitely know that this man is rich with the modern tactics of the game, and he's at home with these boys, some of the national team players. So I think that is the person that at this point in time should have been able to handle the Super Eagles team, because he will command respect from these players at the national team. So for me, I think I tell you, our World Cup qualification hangs in the balance, because if you ask me, if you need the George, I am not that comfortable with the appointment.
Well, I mean, the NFF are his employers, and I'm sure that they might have looked at indices, and it's more like saying the bird at hand is what in the bush, and the devil is better than the angel you do not know. Because
it's better you don't even know the devil right now.
because I mean, we can go on and on to talk about this, but I'm sure we're going to have more time to really digest this later this evening, when we come back for Sports Extraordinary. But before we wrap up conversation, let's go to club football now, and let's look at proceedings. A lot to be talked about. The UEFA Champions League will come this evening, and we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about all that, let's look at what is happening in club football. And I expect that major actings in club football are there, apart from the UEFA Champions League today. The EPL, of course, yesterday League One came about. We have that round is concluded, so we now have the Bundesliga concluded. We have the Serie A concluded, the League One concluded. So we are waiting for a few days from now, a few weeks from now, we'll get to see La Liga Santander concluded, and then the English Premier League. That one looks like we're going to drag it down to the wire.
Definitely, that is what it looks like. It's a 2-horse race right now between Manchester City and Arsenal. But Arsenal is still making a statement of intent. They want to drag this fight to the last day of the league. But can they do it? Fingers crossed, hoping that the Arsenal, they are going to, do their supporters proud, because it has been a very disappointing years, not even year for Arsenal, for over 20 years, not able to, leave the EPL, and not able to win the Champions League. These are some of the thing that continue to haunt Arsenal as a football club. But this time, this season, they are pushing very hard to see if they can be able to topple Manchester City and deprive them of the title from not winning it for the 4th consecutive time, which for me, I think I'm tipping Arsenal to do that, because if Pep Guardiola of Manchester City wins this very one, then it's as good as saying that the EPL is now a farmers' league where one man just come in and dominate proceedings, win 1, 2, 3, equaling the record of Manchester United. Now he's going for the